you. So good morning and welcome. We're about to start. I will take the opportunity to remind you about our forthcoming webinars, our so-called Webinar Wednesday series. You can find more information about these webinars on our Facebook in the event section. Also, we invite you to follow our social media pages, Horizon 2020 Malta on Facebook and H2020 Malta on Twitter. The handles are indicated on the side. Before we proceed, some housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, so we kindly ask you to mute your microphones and keep them muted for the duration of the webinar, unless you are otherwise instructed to do so by one of the speakers. The presentation together with the recordings will be sent to you within a few days. If you have any questions, we kindly ask you to use the chat box provided. We will address any questions and then answer them at the end of the session. We're going to start in a few seconds. So welcome to the Horizon 2020 Basics webinar, hosted by the Malta Council for Science and Technology, MCST. I'm George Bicea, one of the national contact points for Horizon 2020 in Malta. And apart from moderating this session, I will also be presenting some of the content later on. Now I would like to invite my colleague Tamara Shkembri to unmute her microphone, and who is also one of the national contact points, to start instructing us about the basics of Horizon 2020. You have the floor. Tamara, you're unmute. You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to welcome you to this session of the Webinar series on basic information on Horizon 2020. Horizon 2020 is the biggest EU research and innovation program ever, with nearly 80 billion of funding available over 7 years, from 2014 to 2020. It promises more breakthroughs, discoveries, and world firsts by taking great ideas from the lab to the market. By coupling research and innovation, Horizon 2020 is helping to achieve this with its emphasis on excellent science, industrial leadership, and tackling societal challenges. The goal is to ensure Europe produces world-class science, removes barriers to innovation, and makes it easier for the public and private sectors to work together in delivering innovation. Horizon 2020 is open to everyone with a simple structure that reduces red tape and time, so participants can focus on what is really important. This approach makes sure new projects get off the ground quickly and achieve results faster. Horizon 2020 aims to respond to the economic crisis to invest in future jobs and growth. It also addresses people's concerns about their livelihoods, safety and environment, and strengthen the EU's global position in research, innovation, and technology. The first framework program for research and innovation was launched in 1984. The aim was to bring together expertise from across the European community and make Europe more competitive in key technologies. Since then, the framework program have become a major part of research cooperation in Europe, growing progressively in size, scope, and ambition. Just before Horizon 2020, another framework program for research and innovation existed. It was called FP7, and a total of €50 billion were available throughout the program. FP7 ran from 2007 to 2014, lasting for a total of 7 years. Similarly, Horizon 2020 is 7 years long, and its budget throughout these 7 years is a total of €80 billion. As one may notice, Horizon 2020 is coming to an end, and as from next year, a new framework program for research and innovation will be launched, called Horizon Europe. The Commission's proposal for Horizon Europe is an ambitious €100 billion research and innovation program to succeed Horizon 2020. Nevertheless, there are still a number of opportunities left within Horizon 2020, and you are still in time to win a grant under this program. How can you benefit from Horizon 2020? Apart from actually getting your project funded, Horizon 2020 actually lets you claim salaries, travel, and equipment costs, and many other type of costs which we will discuss in more detail in this webinar. As mentioned previously, Horizon 2020 has a simple structure that reduces red tape. This will benefit you as an applicant because it will allow you to focus more on the important things and waste less time on excessive bureaucracy. Everything is submitted online, and the system in itself helps you build your proposal. Horizon 2020 offers opportunities to tackle global challenges together, challenges that affect us all, such as infectious diseases, energy security, or climate change, can only be solved at international level. It also provides the opportunity for economies of scale and expanded research scope shared across many nations. The program introduces you to world-class research infrastructures. It facilitates the continued development of global research infrastructures in Europe and the cooperation of European infrastructure with their non-European counterparts, ensuring global interoperability and access. You'll also get access to new networks and alliances, raising the profile of your research in an international project, sharing expertise and access to equipment, data, and facilities in partner countries. As well, you will focus on innovation, since Horizon 2020 encourages innovators to move their ideas from the lab to the market. A number of opportunities for funding for excellent science. Horizon 2020 offers the biggest budget yet for European research and innovation. The fair evaluation procedures ensure that the best research projects are selected. Researchers from anywhere in the world may be part of the consortia, proposing collaborative research projects. Researchers in some 130 developing economies are eligible for funding for participation in such projects. In certain cases, researchers in developed countries may also be eligible. In addition, the European Research Council and Marie School of Scacuri grants are open to applications from individual researchers anywhere in the world who want to spend time working in Europe. Successful applicants from any country are eligible for funding. There are 3 pillars of research: the excellent science pillar, the industrial leadership pillar, and the societal challenges, as well as a number of horizontal actions found at the bottom of the screen. The first pillar is excellent science. Under the pillar, one finds different initiatives. This type of pillar is more aimed towards the academics. For example, under this pillar, one can apply for staff exchanges and several other initiatives. The second pillar is industrial leadership, and it is aimed towards the industry and the SMEs. And the third pillar is societal challenges, which is aimed at solving today's challenges, such as you can see here, climate issues, transport, security, migration, and many other challenges. Horizontal actions, they support different initiatives, such as Science Written for Society, targets researchers which are interested in science education, ethics, open sciences, etc. Here are some videos for reference, just in case you would like to learn more about the pillars, since it's an hour-long pillar and the areas are very vast. You can actually view these videos, which the Malta Council for Science and Technology made. They are on our YouTube channel. So who can participate? Horizon 2020 is open for participation from across the world. A number of associated countries are listed here, and you can partner up with them, or you can seek cooperation from third countries as well. Sometimes when applying for a call, they might specifically ask you to work with a third country. In fact, there are a number of calls which seek cooperation with Africa. Participation criteria. Most of the Horizon 2020 teams support collaborative research projects where at least 3 legal entities from 3 different EU member states or associated countries form a consortium. For example, a legal entity from Malta, France, and Spain join forces, hence they form a consortium. Obviously, you can team up with more countries which are relevant to your needs. However, there are a number of opportunities where you can be a mono-beneficiary. Therefore, you can participate without forming a consortium. As such, the EIC Accelerator, ERC, MSCA, and some other CSAs, which are specified in the work program, which we will talk about them soon, you can actually participate as a mono-beneficiary. For example, the EIC Accelerator supports both individual SMEs and SME groups that have international ambitions, determined to turn strong, innovative business ideas into winners on the market. The ERC Research Grants support frontier research by individual researchers and teams. And the Marie Skłodowska Actions, which are listed here as MSCA, support research mobility. Besides research funding, scientists have the possibility to gain experience abroad and in the private sector, and complete their training with competencies useful for their careers. The Funding and Tenders portal is the official portal where you can actually apply for the calls, and it's a wealth of resources. You say, here you have how to participate instructions, reference documents, the help desk, and one can find as well the annotated model grant agreement, which is listed here, and there is an actual link to direct you. In this model grant agreement, the user is helped through actually having models and explain to applicants and beneficiaries the specific model grant agreements for the Horizon 2020 work program. The Funding and Tenders portal provides a number of European funding programs. In fact, here you can see all the European funding programs available, and therefore it is necessary to filter out and select Horizon 2020, which is marked with the yellow circle. The Funding and Tenders portal has a single sign-on, which means one username and password that gives access to all functions, which is here the EU login. And once you register, you will have a unique code assigned to you. It is called the Personal Identification Code. It is a 9-digit code which identifies you. The portal provides a personalized web space after login, where you see all your assets related to your proposals, grants, expert accounts, etc. The portal is transparent. That means everybody having a role in the project sees the full archive of all exchanges and documents. The portal provides flexible management of roles and access rights, and therefore most roles to be assigned and revoked by the consortium itself. The portal works with digital sealing of documents, and that means the digital signatures replace paper signatures. As one can see, everything is always managed online. In the screenshot, you can see the different tabs found at the top screen. Under Search Funding and Tenders, you can search for calls, funding updates, or archived funding, that is the previous framework program. Under How to Participate, you have the key steps on how to participate in a Horizon 2020 call and reference documents. You can also search for other organizations if they are registered here. You can even actually search your own organization and see if you have actually registered. Maybe a colleague has registered on behalf of the company and you may not be aware, so you can actually find the PIC number here. If you don't find it, you can actually register yourself, and therefore you will be uploaded into the database. Under Projects and Results, one can find more information about past and ongoing projects. The Work as an Expert tab is an opportunity for interested applicants who want to work as experts. In other words, they want to evaluate proposals themselves. These external experts assist in the evaluation of grant applications, projects and tenders, and to provide opinions and advice in specific cases. You can register as an expert by clicking on this tab. The last tab is Support, which provides you with the guidance and manuals, frequently asked questions, and the help desk at your service. Navigating the Funding and Tenders portal. The screenshot shows the first page you will see when you open the Funding and Tenders portal. You have to select on the program, and it will direct you to this page. You have to select Horizon 2020 in order to filter out. Choose your desired area. Remember those 3 pillars and horizontal actions I talked about in the first few slides? Here is where they come in handy. Under the filter program by part, there are all the pillars I mentioned previously. Select the area you wish to work on. As an example, I will choose Societal Challenge, which is Pillar 3. We have already narrowed it down to 2,795 searches. However, that is still quite a large number of calls. Hence, we need to apply more filters to find our desired call. The first tip that I give you is that you select the closed button in order to remove any calls which are now closed and have exceeded their deadline. The second tip I give you is for you to click under the filter program by part and break down your research even further. Once you click on the filter by program part, the societal challenge will further divide in different aspects of societal challenges. For the sake of the example, I will choose secure, clean, and efficient energy. We have narrowed our search by 47 results by simply removing the ones which have exceeded their deadlines and are closed and chosen an actual specific area. This page gives you an idea of what the Commission is looking for from the topic title. As an example, we will click on the first one, Financing for Energy Efficiency Investments. Normally, calls are represented in this way when you search from the Funding and Tenders portal. From the topic titles, one can already extract some information. The screenshot provides you with an explanation of some of the terminology used. For example, the domain shows if it's a grant or a tender. Calls are always labeled as grants. The link to the topic page, which once you click it, will give you further details about the call and what the Commission is looking for. The topic ID, which you can use in order to identify the call more quickly, which is this code which has numbers as well. And the focus area, which in this case is climate. The opening and close dates give you an idea on how you should allocate your time in order to submit your proposal. The status of the call, make sure it is open for submission, and finally the grant info, where it indicates what type of action this call falls under. In this case, it's a coordination and support action. I will explain the type of actions in the next slide. However, knowing what type of action a call is very important. Let's go back to financing for energy efficiency investments. Once you click on it, the Funding and Tenders portal will direct you to this page. And the first word you will see is probably CSA, Coordination and Support Action. Type of actions and what are they? In order to simplify things, types of actions in reality mean funding schemes, and mainly there are 3 types. One of them being the coordinated and support action, which we are now familiar with. The other 2 are called research and innovation action and innovation action. Knowing the type of action is important because it will tell you the scope of what is funded, the reimbursement rate, the specific evaluation criteria to qualify for funding, and the use of simplified forms of costs like lump sums. There are a total of 3 actions: research and innovation action, and coordination and support actions. The research and innovation action, here is where the general rules apply. Therefore, you have to have a consortium of at least 3 legal entities from 3 different European member states or associated countries. The funding rate is 100% for both profit-making entities and non-profit-making entities. Here, activities are aiming to establish new knowledge or to explore the feasibility of a new or improved technology, product, process, service, or solution. For this purpose, they may include basic and applied research, technology development and integration, testing and validation on a small scale, prototype in a lab or simulated environment. Projects may contain closely connected but limited demonstration or pilot activities, aiming to show the technical feasibility in a near to operational environment. Under Research and Innovation Action, you may notice that there is written in yellow TRL 1 to 5. TRL stands for Technology Readiness Level, and it is basically a scale to measure the product idea or maturity. The scale starts from 1, which is simply an idea, basic principles have been observed, and there is no testing involved. And it goes up to scale 9, where the idea is now ready for full commercial application and the technology is available for consumers. This means that TRL 1 to 5 is somewhere between research and development. In other words, basic research is a scale 1 and to have a prototype tested in the intended environment. The concept of research and innovation action is not to have an end product and to be ready to the market, since that falls more under innovation action, which I will explain in the next slide. It is to establish new knowledge and to develop new technologies or solutions. Innovation actions have a funding rate of 70% to profit-making entities. Non-profit legal entities always get 100%. Activities here directly aim at producing plans and arrangements for designs for new, altered, or improved products, processes, or services. For this purpose, they may include prototyping, testing, demonstrating, piloting, large-scale product validation, and market replication. The general rules apply here, and there has to be a consortium of at least 3 legal entities from the 3 different countries applying for this type of action. Here, the funding rate, as I said, it's 70% for profit-making and 100% for non-profit making. The TRL is between 5 and 8, and that means that the idea has to be somewhere between having the technology validated in a relative environment to having a system of complete and qualified, which is listed here. The coordination and support action, it's basically accompanying measures such as standardization, dissemination, awareness raising, and communication, networking, coordinating and support services, policy dialogues, and mutual learning exercises and studies. Here we can find an exception. One can apply by its own without forming a consortium of 3 legal entities. The minimum applicants for a CSA is 1 beneficiary. Activities here are not meant to actually create a product or a technology. Therefore, you won't find that. That's why there is no TRL listed here. The funding rate is 100% for both profit and no profit making legal entities. 1 project, 1 funding rate. Furthermore, Horizon 2020 gives you an additional indirect costs of a 25% flat rate on top of the actual funding rate you are entitled to. Indirect costs are costs that cannot be identified as specific costs directly linked to the performance of the action. In the case of research and innovation action and the coordination and support action, 100% rate is applied to everywhere and everyone. On top of that, you get a 25% rate of indirect costs. As a simple numerical example, let's say you applied for 100 euros. Apart from that, you will get a 25% on top in indirect costs. Therefore, the result would be as a total of 125 euros. For innovation actions where profit-making legal entities are funded 70%, they too get a 25% flat rate. So if they require 100 euros for their involvement, they will get 70 euros and an additional 25% in indirect costs flat rate, which is listed here as 17.5, resulting in the total of 87.5 euro. As always, non-profit legal entities always get 100% funded. In conclusion, it is very important to know what the type of action is. What are you applying for? Since it will determine your funding rate, especially if you are a profit-making legal entity. Understanding the jargon, the deadline model. Now that we understood what the types of actions are, we will move on to the next terminology, the deadline model. In this case, it is a single stage. There are 2 stages, a single stage. For most topics, submit a proposal by the deadline. The full proposal is pages. Second stage topics have 2 stage 2 deadline. Therefore, in the first stage, you submit an outline proposal, a standard of maximum 10 pages, unless otherwise specified in the submission system. It is evaluated against criteria set out in the topic conditions. If you pass the first stage, you will be invited for a second stage. In the second stage, you will be invited to submit your full proposal within a given period. The full proposal is 70 pages, not longer than 70 pages. If your proposal is rejected and does not pass stage 1, you will be informed of this in writing, along with the evaluation summary report. Having 2 stages can sometimes be an advantage as well, since you do not need to put the effort of writing the full 70-page proposal immediately. If you look into the calls, you will see in the topic description, if you scroll down further, there will be a specific challenge. You will understand that this is the problem that the Commission has identified, and it is up to you to propose a solution. The specific challenge identifies the aspects of the challenge that needs to be tackled. The text here does not outline the expected solutions to the problem, nor the approach to be taken by the applicant. In this case, the problem or the specific challenge is that energy efficiency is not yet considered as an attractive investment by the financial sector. Scrolling further down, you will notice that there is a scope. After checking out the specific challenge, you will see the scope of the call. The scope is basically the problem in detail, and here you will find more details on the specific challenge by specifying a parameter on the problem described. Within the scope, you will find the details you need, and here you can outline keywords which can help you build your proposal. In this case, the Commission clearly stated that a proposal should address at least one of the following issues. Therefore, you have to make sure that if you're writing a proposal, you mentioned at least one of the issues addressed here. In the scope, also, you can find the budget here. Here, the Commission provides you with an idea of how much you should request. In this case, the Commission considers that the proposal requesting a contribution from the EU of between 1 to 1.5 million euro, which would allow the specific challenge to be addressed appropriately. Nonetheless, this does not preclude submission and selection of progress requesting other amounts. Each call will have a different budget, so make sure to check out the scope in order to get a rough idea of the budget you need to request. Scrolling even further, you will see the expected impact. Here, one will find the change to be achieved. Within the expected impact, you will find a broad description of what is the impact to be achieved through the project that is funded. The dissemination and exploitation of future research results are vital for the impact. In this case, the Commission identified that the impact shall mainly be to provide innovative financing schemes for energy efficiency investments and mainstreaming energy efficiency finance. Other additional positive effects can be quantified and reported when relevant and wherever possible. In conclusion, you will always find the specific challenge, scope, and expected impact in a societal challenge type of call, and each and every call is unique. Therefore, make sure to check out each and every call's details in the funding and tenders portal, especially if you are involved in the proposal writing. Now that you know the general participation rules, the types of funding rates, and how to find an interesting call for you, I invite my colleague George to present the second part of the webinar, starting off from proposal submission. The floor is yours, George.
Thank you, Tamara. Let me just quickly open the presentation. Tamara or Mark, can you kindly confirm you're seeing the presentation, please?
Yes, I confirm.
Okay, George, it's on.
Thank you. So, hello again for anyone that joined a bit late. My name is George Bugeja, one of the Horizon 2020 entities in Malta. In this section, we will cover the proposal submission. One of the most common questions that is asked is who submits a proposal. The proposals must be created and submitted by a representative or a contact person of the coordinating organization. That is the coordinator. Certain types of actions differ from the standard. For example, the Marie Slaughter-Curie Fellowships, for example. Um, while the submission of a proposal for Marie Curie Actions Fellowships falls under the full responsibility of the applicant organization, represented by the main supervisor, it's technically possible for both the supervisor and the aspirant fellow to create, modify, and submit a proposal. Or in the case of frontier research grants, in such proposals of the European Research Council, the individual researcher, principal investigator, basically takes the lead on the proposal. How is the proposal submitted? Proposals must be submitted electronically using the electronic submission system of the participant portal, otherwise known as the funding and tendering portal. The electronic submission system is an online wizard that guides you step by step through the preparation of your proposal. The proposal itself consists of two main parts, the administrative forms and technical annexes. The administrative forms contain structured information of the basic administrative data, declarations of partners, organizations, and contact persons, and so forth. And the technical annexes, which is the detailed description of the planned research and innovation projects, outline work packages, costs, and so forth. Further mandatory or optional annexes, such as supporting documents for ethical issues, detailed budget tables for lump sum pilot projects, can be required by the call and the given topic, as shown in the submission system. Another important item is confidentiality. The Commission will treat your proposals confidentially, as well as any related information, data, and documents received. Of course, evaluation and ethical experts are also bound by an obligation of confidentiality when reviewing your proposal. Moving on, the process for submitting a proposal in practice can be defined in two stages: the preparation phase and the online electronic submission. A simple tip to be successful with proposals is to be well prepared. The list in this diagram indicates this and shows the full cycle one needs to do in the first instance. Getting prepared for participation, often you repeat the same cycle, while in the electronic submission, some of the steps can be passed over as they have already been done either by you or by your organization, such as obtaining the PIC number, for example. Finding your topic. Once you find an interesting topic, you must read the documentation and understand it well. For the most part, Horizon 2020 calls are structured top-down, so it's essential that you carefully read the topic description, dissect the information, and appreciate that every word in the text is there for a reason. So highlight the keywords and make sure that these are retained in your proposal text. Moreover, it is also essential to read the related documentation and make use of any template documents or guide for applicants. Read on. Don't just stop reading at the topic description. The general documents provide background information and can provide orientation with regards to long and short-term EU policies, and may also shed light on the state of the art. So, partners for the project. For the most part, you'll need several partners. Recall the basic eligibility criteria, which Tamara covered, which is 3 legal entities from 3 different member states or associated countries. But do keep in mind that not all calls require the participation of several partners. Please read the eligibility conditions or the respective information package on the topic conditions page of your call. There are some opportunities for mono-beneficiaries, so you don't require a partner in such cases. Partner searches begins within your own professional network. Make use of your organization's connections locally and abroad. Start with the people within your first circle and work outward. Those are the best connections, and you know the reliability of your contacts. We, of course, as NCPs, can help to disseminate any partner search and have several facilities to do this. You can utilize the new features, new feature on the funding and tendering portal, which facilitates the partner searches. Please recall and remember that this facility is unique per call topic, so you must open the search within the call topic itself. There are many other ways to do partner searches. Unfortunately, we're a bit short on time, so I'm just gonna mention some important ones without going into much detail. By participating, for example, at technical or relevant events such as conferences, brokerage events, or using the EN services or the IPAS Plus scheme offered by MCST. Just to touch up on the IPAS scheme, it's currently open and you can get grants to cover your participation costs at such events, amongst other things you use funded under Part A of the scheme. You can also get a grant for proposal assistance under Part B of the IPAS scheme. So do get in touch with us so we can provide you more information about this opportunity. Coming back to partners, the project is as successful as the consortium behind it. So make sure to seek appropriate partners and keep in mind that every partner in a project proposal has a role and should excel at what they do. Next is planning. So make sure to read the requirements for the technical annexes, see the templates on the call or topic conditions page, in which the proposed work has to be described in detail. Carefully read the evaluation criteria. On the call topic, there lies a link with planning, so make sure to do this. For most type of actions, technical annexes gives you a detailed description of the project idea and the work plan. So basically, you divide the planned work into work packages, you assign the related responsibilities and resources within the consortium, set out a project time schedule, which includes the main milestone, and deliverables. You describe the project management structure, and you also describe the dissemination and exploitation plan and communication activities. Additional annexes or supporting documents may be required, for example, the consortium description or supporting documents for ethical issues if required. Always refer to the specific call topic page for more detailed information about any requirements. Planning a budget. It does take time. Within the topic, as Tamara indicated earlier, you will be given an indication of the project overall budget line. You should aim to utilize it fully and coherently in your planning. So if the budget is, let's say, 3 million, you should aim to utilize it fully. Please check the required budget table indicated in the administrative forms of the proposal, which is specific for the type of action. The budget table categories may vary per topic type of action. Some of the required budget details may be needed to be outlined in more detail in the technical annexes of your proposal. There are the rules of participation provides more information about the standard budgetary conditions, and in the annotated grant agreement provides detailed explanation on the budgetary items. We have talked about the funding rates earlier, being 100%, but what are the eligible costs? So these are the types of costs that are eligible for funding. So we have personal costs, subcontracting, other direct costs, which include travel and equipment, the indirect cost, which is a 25% flat rate, and if applicable in the project, you have costs of providing financial support to third parties, and there are specific categories of costs which might be applicable in the project. Let's make some distinctions here between the type of costs. So we have direct, base, indirect costs. So Eligibility conditions. Eligible direct costs are costs that are directly linked to the action implementation and can therefore be attributed to it directly. Whereas indirect costs are costs that cannot be identified as specific costs directly linked to the performance of the action. They are declared as a fixed flat rate of eligible direct costs minus certain direct eligible costs. Essentially, indirect costs is overheads. So there's only one possibility of applying this, which is 25% of almost all the eligible direct costs. You won't get the overhead on subcontracting, so keep that in mind. And costs of in-kind contribution not used in the beneficiary's premises, for example, to use access someone's laboratory, is also not covered. When it comes to direct personal costs, these include persons hired by the beneficiary via an employment contract, both permanent staff and temporary. They have an employment contract or equivalent appointing act with the beneficiary, and they are assigned to the action. Other cases do exist, such as neutral persons hired directly via contracts other than employment contract. There are some conditions, so if they work under the same or similar conditions to those of an existing employee in the organization or place of work, they are eligible. The results of work belongs to the beneficiary. Exceptions may apply, so keep that in mind as well. The costs are not significantly different from those of an employee of the beneficiary doing the similar tasks. So employees of a third party seconded to the beneficiary, always check out Annex 1. SME owners not receiving a salary, natural persons not receiving a salary when they are beneficiaries themselves. I hope that was clear enough. Please do feel to ask any questions in the chat box if it was not clear enough. Moving on, this figure, basically these figures shown on the slide are the budget tables as examples. So each partner will have a row listing the figures requested according to the column heading. So I'll indicate this. So here would be the name of each partner and the cost category assigned to it. We don't have too much time, but I just kindly like to remind you that in one of our future webinars, we will be covering in detail the budget. So make sure to tune in and get a better understanding of this. One more item I just want to mention here is that note that you only complete the white fields while the gray ones are automatically calculated. So as you can see here, the calculations, for example, for the indirect costs is automatically calculated for you. I think with this, we have covered getting prepared. Now we move on to the electronic proposal submission. Proposals must be submitted electronically using the electronic submission system of the participant portal. It's relatively easy to start. So you open the call, you scroll down to the select type of action to start submission, and the call page indicated by the number 1 in red, or select submission services in the table of contents on the left, so in the menu here. Then you simply click on the Start Submission button next to the selected type of action. It's very important that you select what type of action you're submitting for. So I'll show you a quick video, which basically should work, hopefully. Yeah, since it's running. So this clip provides step-by-step instructions of the process we have mentioned. So on the funding and tendering portal, we log in with our ECAS details. We are going to do a basic search for topics. Of course, we're going to do this using some filters. I'll let the video basically instruct you to do this. So we're doing the search. You're going to use some filters here. We're going to remove the tenders. I'm not interested in that. And we're also going to remove the forthcoming opportunities. So we're filtering now to narrow down the search. We can do this a bit randomly for now. Additional filters can be applied to narrow down the search. We can make use of the sort by options to reorder the list, which is very helpful to gauge the time left to prepare for a proposal. So make sure to keep that in mind when you're doing the planning. Check out the deadline. So let's pick that we want to apply for. Let's say we scroll down to the select your type of actions to start submission, and then wait for the video. So we click on the call. So we're going to apply for this. We scroll down to select your type of action, start submission, and then we simply click start submission button next to the type of action. As shown, there was a CSA and an innovation action. So make sure you're clicking the right one. With this, basically, once you click the start submission, you will be redirected to the SEP submission result, and you'll fill it out accordingly. Hopefully that was explained well enough. If not, we can't emphasize enough that the funding and tendering portal has a wealth of resources. So to give you an example, you can follow these instructions. You can do this step by step for the entire process. So you click on step 1 on the funding and tendering portal menu bar, with the pointer over and over supports. From the drop-down menu, click on guidance and manuals. Scroll down and click on IT how-to. You will be redirected to another page. From there, click on proposals from the menu bar, and again, just scroll down a little bit and click on proposal submission. Here you will find the instructions in more detail, covering every aspect. The hyperlink on this slide actually redirects you to step 4. So once you have the presentation, you can do this yourself. So basically, this section now covers the evaluation of the proposal. So admissibility and eligibility check. Administrative checks include checking if the proposal is submitted before the call deadline, if it's complete, is it readable, accessible, and printable, if it includes a draft exploitation and dissemination plan of the results. One very important thing here to mention is the page limits. Page limits will apply to the proposal. So your proposal must not exceed the maximum number of pages indicated in the proposal template under Part B. If you attempt to upload a proposal longer than the specified limit before the deadline, you will receive an automatic warning, and will be advised to shorten and re-upload the proposal. After the deadline, access pages will be automatically made invisible and will not be taken into consideration by the expert. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Eligibility checks, basically to see if contents are in line with the topic description and the call. If the proposal involves enough of the right participants and meet standard eligibility criteria and any other eligibility criteria set out in the call or topic page. Coming to the evaluation criteria, of course, proposals are evaluated and scored against selection and award criteria. Basically, there are three: the excellence, which is clarity and pertinence of the objectives. So excellence is in the scientific research. Impact, enhancing innovation capacity, integration of new technology. So impact is a reference to the enhancement of the innovation capacity and integration of new knowledge, whereas the third evaluation criteria, which is quality and efficiency of implementation, complementarity of the participants. Here, quality and efficiency of implementation is more related to the project management of the project and the multidisciplinary of the consortium, meaning having the right people in the right places, in addition to providing their unique set of experiences. Important to mention the evaluation criteria of some actions, such as the Marie Curie actions, are set out under the relevant part of the work program, so make sure to have a look at that. So we've covered most of the subject topic for today. So once we've done all the process and submitted the project, what happens? So we have a time to grant, which is of 8 months in total. So 5 months for the evaluation to be carried out. These 5 months start after the deadline. This is legally binding time frame, which is always respected by the Commission. Following this, 3 months are allocated for the process of grant agreement signature. Of course, there are some exceptions with shorter time frames. For example, for the EIC accelerator, we have a shorter time to grant, and in some cases, longer time to grant is possible. For example, for ERC projects, and that have other exceptional cases. In two-stage proposals, time to grant is counted from stage 2 deadline. I really like the two-stage proposals because you know where you are right after the first stage. So how can we help as NCPs at the Malta Council for Science and Technology? So our role is spreading awareness, advising our stakeholders, and we, of course, provide customized support. So please do follow our mail shots, our websites, our social media pages. We, at the moment, are not doing physical events, so we're opting for such webinars. So please do follow us. We advise and do one-to-one consultations. We, as mentioned earlier, do partner searches. We can assist with proposal pre-screening and general queries. We give assistance throughout the lifetime of the project and before and also after. So if an audit comes up or something like that, we can still advise. And we can accommodate and support you with every request. So we will customize our approach for your needs. This is the NCP team from Malta. We have Antaya Fabri, who is the NCP coordinator, Lily Vasileva, Mark Malak, Tamar Shkambri, myself, George Bajaya, Stephen Frugero, and Elena Sultan. As you can note, we all cover different aspects of the Horizon 2020 pillars. So if you have specific questions, you can contact us directly. But we have a no wrong door approach, so anyone you contact will help you. That brings my presentation to an end, so we can take some questions. Let me close the slide so I can read the questions.
There's a question. What is the status of the UK after December? Currently, the UK can still participate in Horizon 2020. So that's for sure. Within Horizon Europe, I don't know if George, you can clarify further.
Yes. Sorry about that. I got disconnected for a moment and I had a mini panic attack.
Don't worry.
So the question was on basically on the status of the UK following December. So for the moment, if you're considering UK partners, they can participate in Horizon 2020 with the full funding as indicated by the Commission. So basically, they can participate till the end of Horizon 2020. So if they apply, let's say, fall in September, and the evaluation is done, and the grant is signed within the context of Horizon 2020, they will be supported. Beyond December, we do not know because there's not an agreement in place yet, but basically they are considered as a third country for Horizon Europe, but that's a whole different argument. So in the context of Horizon 2020, they are still fully eligible as UK partners. In the context of Horizon Europe, we think that the approach will be similar to, let's say, Norway or Switzerland, where they will become associated to the program, but that is still to be defined, as in it has to be agreed between the UK government and the European Union. I can't really provide more guidance on this. Are there any other questions we can take?
There's another question. Will there be a follow-up of the twinning?
I think it means a follow-up of the twinning call.
The widening and as such, twinning, I mean, mainly.
So twinning calls, I think, will be funded. I'm not quite sure as it's not my area. Maybe one of our colleagues can come in and address this question. See if anyone is available. Is Antea available for this question? I don't think so. As far as I know, twinning calls will be announced. I'm not quite sure under which area. Horizon Europe is still being defined. But I do not see why under the widening part of the program, twinning calls would not be supported. What we can do is get back to you with this question, because I'm not sure if there are.
There is a chance that they would continue in Horizon Europe as well, but we can follow up with you if you drop us an email, or if you want, you can personally address us and leave your email, and we can contact you and answer the question more precisely.
As far as I'm informed, within the context of Horizon 2020, there are no more twinning opportunities, but I might be incorrect stating this. But we'll get back to you with a follow-up. Any other questions?
Hi, George and Mark. I was asked by Mr. Gauci, how many projects are normally awarded per each call?
This depends on the budget line. So, if, for example, the call has a 10 million budget, and the call text says that each project should utilize, like, let's say 5 million, then you can quickly make the claim that 2 projects under this topic will be funded. So there's a 10 million budget line, but the call text states 5 million, so you can expect 2 projects to be funded. If you want to know where to find that type of information, you have to refer to the work program. The work program, at the very bottom, at the end of the documentation, there should be a list with all the budgets for the upcoming calls and even past calls. So from there, you can obtain the budget line for the specific call. Any other questions?
Just to confirm the question about the twinnings, there will be no longer any more twinning calls in Horizon 2020. However, there should be in Horizon Europe. And once the Horizon Europe is published.
Confirming what was stated earlier.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, there are no forthcoming opportunities for twinning under the umbrella of Horizon 2020, but in the next programming, which is Horizon Europe, there should be twinning calls. I think with that we can conclude. Thank you for following us today.
Another question, quickly. Yes. When do you expect the Horizon Europe guidelines to be published?
That's a very good question.
Year.
It should be next year.
Beginning, but next year, I think.
Honestly speaking, it should be within the first 6 months. The COVID virus has drastically derailed the focus on Horizon Europe. Unfortunately, so the Commission has set its priorities to target the COVID crisis, but we're sure that by the end of this year we'll have better indications and provide you more details. So our coordinator, which is Antea Fabri, just put a message. First calls for Horizon Europe are expected at around April 2021. So any other comments or questions, please? You can ask questions verbally if anyone wants to do that instead of using the chat.
I think that is it.
Thank you for following. And also a big thank you to our colleagues in the background who have supported us today.
Thanks, everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.